how much of this do you think, Cap, is Jordan is so the way I just sort of described Jordan, defectively competitive, and I'm with you, the GOAT for various reasons. We don't need to get into that now, and I think it's pretty clear. But he, I think of his Hall of Fame speech where everyone's there to honor the man. He gets up and uses it as an opportunity to kind of obliterate all the people who are there showing him love. Because to me, it's like he's so competitive. He has to constantly win at everything. And so, because it takes two. This doesn't come out of nowhere, right? Whatever Scottie's issue is, it's coming from somewhere where he feels like he needs to kind of stand up for himself in some way. How much of it is the way Jordan has treated people through the years?
I don't know if it's as much that, Max, as Scottie's been that guy who was always doubted or handled things poorly and got criticized despite being an incredibly talented basketball player. He was a guy who went off to Central Arkansas and wasn't even going to be on the team, might have been the student manager. Then he starts to grow. Then he becomes a basketball player, but then everyone goes, he's not good enough to play in the NBA. And then I was scouting in the league. Jerry Krause had called me. I was between jobs and asked me if I would go to the pre-draft camp in 1987. It's at the University of Illinois at Chicago. I want you to come in there, he tells me. I want you to go see this game on this court at this time and watch number 58 and do not tell anyone who you're looking at. Okay. There's 90 dudes there. I walk in. I watch this guy. I'm like, well, that guy's really good. He gets up the passing lane. You don't see that in a pre-draft camp. Usually every guy's trying to just score. We get done. He meets with me. What'd you think of him? That guy's really good. He's really talented. Where do you think he's going to go? We're hoping to steal him in the 7th round because, Jay, remember that now it's a 2-round draft. It was 7, 8, 9, 10 rounds back then. Mm-hmm. And so the next day I watch him again. I write my little report up. And Jerry said, what do you think now? I said, Jerry, there's no way that guy's there in the 7th round. That guy's really good. Now, did I think he's who he is? No. The 3rd day of the camp, number 58's got 40 guys around the court watching him. And Jerry's like, oh, God, I don't think he's going to be there when we pick. And then they made the trade to go get Scottie, and Scottie became Scottie. Then Jerry Reinsdorf, Scottie says, I want a long-term deal. I've had back problems. He gives it to him and tells him, I can't renegotiate this, so if you sign it, you got to live up to it. Yeah, Jerry, my back, I got to make sure I'm protected. And, of course, a year in, he's underpaid grossly, and they won't renegotiate the deal. He'd been warned. It was on him. Then he sits out 1.8 seconds because Tony's going to get the shot and not him. Then he couldn't play with migraines in the Eastern Conference Final Game 7. All this stuff happened, and he's still one of the 50 greatest players. So I still think it's all in his head. I do.
How has the relationship deteriorated over time? I mean, two guys that win championships together, you still would think that they would celebrate to some degree, but clearly that's not the case.
We had Dennis Rodman on, and he said when he came to Chicago, he said, I walked in the Berto Center the first day. I've just been traded to the Bulls. Michael Jordan walks up to him, pulls him in the training room. He said, close the door. He looked at me. He goes, you're a great player. You screw this team chemistry up, I'll kill you. Are we clear? He said, and that was basically the last time he ever talked to Michael Jordan while he was with the Bulls, except on the court. He said, we'd go to dinner, and Dennis and his entourage at one table, Scottie at another table, Michael and his group at another table. He's like, wasn't like we hung out. And Scottie, the same thing. And Scottie had some off-the-court stuff go on here that we don't have to get into. No, none of that ever happened to Michael Jordan. So Scottie's had his share of missteps to contribute to him feeling disrespected at times.
It's funny, Cap, everybody's like, oh, their relationship. I'm like, what relationship? You mean on the court? Because off the court, Jordan's one of one. He had his crew. Everybody had their crew back then. It wasn't a lot of team events and things of that sort.
Well, Michael had his crew, but if it was anybody on the team, it was not really any of the guys that were starters.
Yeah.
It was Scottie Burrell or some of these other guys that just wanted to be in his company. But the other stars, Scottie, Dennis Rodman. Look, here's how tough Michael was. Will Perdue, not a great player, but a really solid contributor. And Michael refused to call him Will Purdue. He kept calling him Will Vanderbilt on the court. And Will said to him, "My name's Will Purdue." He goes, "You ain't good enough to play at Purdue." That's how Michael challenged these guys and treated these guys. Yes, that's all true.
I love it, though.
Cap, how much do you think that Pippen, like I always thought LeBron is like a puffed up Pippen. LeBron plays like LeBron is a point forward. Pippen was an early prototype of a scoring, defending point forward who could run your offense. He was an excellent passer, not a great shooter. Like in many respects, LeBron reminds me of a blown up version of Scottie Pippen. And Pippen maybe identifies when he sees LeBron, that's some version of me, and prefers that to Jordan, or kind of uses that as a proxy to like hit Jordan over the head with. Yeah, I mean, like, is there anything there?
They're similar styles. I mean, yeah, that's like a Cadillac and a Chevrolet. I mean, LeBron's just ridiculously good, but Michael didn't have all the training and he lifted weights, he worked out. It's not like it is today with what LeBron has put together, but I think Scottie just felt disrespected all the time.
What did you make of what Scottie said about Michael releasing The Last Dance because of the shadow of LeBron James?
I don't believe that. I really don't. I think Michael had this. People have wanted to see it. We're in a pandemic, and it was time. They rushed it out to get it faster because we're all on lockdown. I think it all came together, but Michael been sitting on these things for a long time. You're telling me that if he truly wanted to get acclaim and make sure that everyone knows who the GOAT is, why did he wait so long to release it then? Why? That makes no sense to me. Michael's not that guy. Michael doesn't care what anyone thinks because he knows he's the best. Not any question, he's the best.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN Plus right now.